Yes. Okay. Hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking and Barry back again. We took a little bit of a break there, but we're back with the list today. And the list is actually, fun fact, the only list that is approved by Godzilla. So we got Godzilla's approval. That's great because that new Godzilla versus King Kong movie is going to be coming out. I think it was supposed to come out this year, but I don't know if that's happening now, but whatever, that's happening. And the, integral part of that you need to pay attention to is, of course, Godzilla and King Kong, two mighty titans clashing with each other, just like Luffy and Usopp, because today's video is about Luffy versus Usopp, or maybe Usopp versus Luffy, whichever. I mean, honestly, I think I'm more of an Usopp versus Luffy kind of guy myself. Oh my god, this fight is amazing. This fight is even more, this fight is amazeballs. It is amazeballs, this fight, okay? It is one of the most beautifully animated fights in the entire story. The emotion is so damn palpable because it's two members of the Straw Hat crew clashing. I mean, yes, Luffy fought Frankie before, Nico Robin used to be an enemy, okay, but this is different. This is different, okay? When Robin and Frankie were enemies of the Straw Hats, they weren't currently on the crew, right? In this one particular instance, Luffy and Usopp, they have traveled together, they've had plenty of adventures together, there's little flashbacks peppered throughout both episodes, episode 235 and 236, in case you're curious. I rewatched them both, I slowed them down, I went frame by frame, I analyzed every little aspect of this fight, and the more and more that I did that, the more notes that I took, and the more questions I had to ask myself, like, how many times does Usopp hit Luffy during the fight versus how many times does Luffy hit Usopp? Or, turns out, if you go back and watch it, Usopp doesn't even really move that much the entire fight. You start to notice little things that I didn't really pick up on the first time I've rewatched the first time I rewatched. I've seen this fight many times, obviously. But this was the first time I was actually sitting down with a pencil and paper and actually analyzing it, right? The more and more I was excited to finally talk about this because Usopp is like freaking Batman in this. Like, it's awesome. I mean, it's not awesome because, the circumstances that led up to it. Here's the thing. I've rewatched episode 236 quite a bit. That's the episode where Luffy and Usopp actually brawl it out on the shores of Water 7. If you haven't watched the episode that preceded that, go back and watch it, episode 235, the episode where Usopp and Luffy actually begin their argument, where, Usopp is upset because, and we're gonna go all into this in this video, but my point is just go back and watch that one, because I hadn't watched probably that episode since it first came out, and you really need to see both of them back to back, because that episode 235 builds up so much damn tension. The cliffhanger for that is, like, insane. Like, One Piece has been going on for 900 something episode, almost 1,000 chapters. We've had some crazy cliffhangers in One Piece over the years. 23 years of this damn manga being serialized in Jump. But that ending where Usopp challenges Luffy to a duel, like, I'm challenging you to a duel, Luffy, 10 o'clock tonight, be here! Boom! End of chapter. Boom! End of episode. Like, okay, so to build this up, to give you a little bit of a recap on the circumstances that led to this fight, because up until this point, part of the reason why this makes it so emotional is if, you're gonna point out the Straw Hat crew, like the biggest goofballs on the crew that are really just, all about having fun, having adventure, telling jokes, and just kind of just generally goofing off while the rest of the crew, like, Nami's actually trying to do navigation stuff, Zoro is trying to sleep. I mean, come on now, Luffy, you need to have a swordsman sleeping on deck and you're running around just acting like an idiot with, like, chopsticks up your nose, right? Zoro needs his beauty sleep. Sanji's in the kitchen cooking. Chopper's doctoring. He's doing all, Chopper usually joins in too. But it's usually Luffy, Usopp, and then Chopper. Frankie wasn't there yet. Robin was part of the crew, but she was off doing her little flourish, joining CP9, trying to assassinate Iceberg. You know how it went with Robin during Water 7. Water 7, Oda was doing a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, I don't want to go into a tangent, but it's just like, the crew gets to Water 7, Oda's like, oh, I'm gonna make these fans cry. I'm gonna have Robin leave, I'm gonna have Usopp and Luffy fight, I'm gonna have the merry-go. Like, Oda, like, that arc, it was just like, this is the arc where we stop being funny for a little while, because it got intense in Water 7, right? But yeah, so Robin was away for the moment. But yeah, you always see Usopp and Luffy hanging out, just having fun. Like, they're the same age, they're like best friends, right? And so that's what made this whole episode really impactful, because I don't want to go too personal into it here, but, you know, think of a really close friend that you have, maybe someone that you've known for years, maybe ever since you were maybe like in elementary school, maybe you're still friends with this person to this day. There might have been a moment, I hope there wasn't, but there might have been a moment where you have a legitimate argument or falling out with them. Because this happens. And maybe you patch things back together, or maybe to this day you still don't really talk at all. But, you know, I think everybody, that's something that we can kind of connect to. Somebody that you were friends with for a long time, you have all these great memories of, and then just something happened, and then boom, you just don't see each other anymore, right? And you really feel that with Luffy and Usopp, where, you know, Usopp, when he first hears about what happens, because the whole thing with Frankie family, you know, they take the money from Usopp. Usopp goes over to the Frankie house, gets the shit beat out of him by the Frankie family, plus Frankie is there as well. And then, you know, he just get tossed out of the house, and he's just bleeding on the freaking sidewalk in front of the Frankie family's house. Then Luffy, Chopper, Sanji, and Zoro show up, and they're like, don't worry, Usopp, we got this. Just sit tight. We got this. And so they wreck the Frankie house. Frankie, of course, was not there at that moment. He already left, but they just wreck that place. They take Usopp. They bring him back to the Mary. Chopper patches him up. Everything's copacetic, right? Well, not really, because Usopp, you know, he lost the money. They still lost the money, because Frankie took the 200 million and he took it off to the sea train to go buy the Atomwood, all right? So even though they wrecked the Frankie family and they got Usopp back and they, you know, patched him up and everything, he's not critically injured. He can still move around and stuff. He's, you know, he's still injured. He's still bandaged up head to toe, but, you know, Usopp had his entire frontal skull pulverized by Mr. Four's bat a couple arcs back. He's still able to come back from that, okay? So they're in the Mary, and Usopp asks, he's like, guys, I'm so sorry about me losing the money. You know, can we still, with the money that we have left, can we still repair the Mary? We're still going to be okay, right? I mean, it might be a little rough, but guys, we got to really patch the Mary up, okay? Because she's really hurting. You know, everything that happened with Skypiea and everything, we got to make sure it's not just a new coat of paint. We got to really refurbish her from heart, like from head to toe. And it's like, and from heart to brain. I don't know what I was going with there, but we need to fix the Mary. She's one of us. And then Luffy at first, you know, they try not to tell Usopp directly the really bad news of it that Kaku gave them, of like, the keel is damaged, you can't fix her up at all. Luffy kind of tries to play it off as like, well, actually, we have 100 million, and we were talking to the shipwrights, and we have this catalog here, and, you know, Iceberg told us, you know, Ice Pops told us that, you know, we could pick 100 million berries, you know, a ship, like a used model. It might even be bigger than the Mary. So we might not be able to get a brand new ship, but we could get something. Like Luffy's like, you know, I thought long and hard about this. I've decided just to get a new ship. And this is the part that really is painful to watch in that episode 235, because Usopp's like, come on, guys, come on, you quit joking. Look at Chopper, Luffy. Chopper thinks you're serious buying a new ship. I mean, the joke has gone on long enough. And that's that awkward moment, like at a party where, you know, one person is like, haha, really funny, huh, guys? And everyone else is just kind of like, yeah. Like Sanji, Zoro, Nami, they're just being quiet. Chopper's like, you know, like, and then Usopp's like, wait, what, you're serious? And it just goes south from there. And it's even more painful because Usopp, like, they didn't tell Usopp yet that the Mary is damaged beyond repair. So Usopp gets really, like, he's just like, guys, if you needed the 300 million to buy and fix the ship and you can't now because I lost the money because I was a dumbass, just let me know. You know, don't come to me and just being like, oh, actually, Usopp, we're just gonna buy a new ship. It's okay. Don't give me that crap. I lost the money. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. We can't fix the Mary. Just come out and say that to me. You know, because I'm an idiot, I lost it, we can't do anything now. Okay, we'll figure out some other way to get the money. We can make it work. Just come out and tell me. And Luffy and everybody, there's a moment in the anime where Luffy just comes out and blurts it out to Usopp, and a crashing wave kind of covers it up. Like, the Mary is... And it cuts to a crashing wave. By the way, that episode, like the episode that follows it when they actually fight, beautifully animated, like I said, it takes place on the shore of Water 7, and it's nighttime and the moon and everything. But this previous episode is just absolutely gorgeous, because the whole thing is backlit by the sunset. And it's just the light coming through the portholes on the Mary as everyone's sitting around the meeting room trying to figure out what's going on. Usopp and Luffy's fight there. I mean, it's just, once again, this is another gorgeously animated scene, okay? So they start getting into a shouting match. It just devolves into a shouting match between Luffy and Usopp. Luffy's like, I told you, the shipwrights came. They looked at the ship. They told me it's not going to make it to the next island. I'm the captain. You don't think I've thought about this? And by the way, this is Luffy. Alright, now Luffy is not an idiot. Luffy's not like a complete, like, I'm the captain of the Straw Hats, I just do whatever. You know, he's capable of being serious when the situation calls to being serious, okay? The same thing like with Arlong Park, with like Nami and everything, right? Like Luffy can be 100% dead serious, but this is a different kind of serious here. This isn't like, I'm gonna go beat up Arlong serious, or bring it on Crocodile kind of serious. No, this is like getting into an argument and just like all the fun and joy is just sucked out of the Mary of the Straw Hat crew for a few hours, right? You know, for longer than that, because even after the fight is over, they're not in a happy, cheery mood, even days later, right? They get into this huge fight. Luffy tells him, you know, I'm the captain. I know what I'm doing. You know, I've thought about this. You know, this isn't just something I came up with. These are the experts. These are the best shipwrights in the world. Usopp's like, oh, so you'll just trust people you just met. All right, just people, I know they're shipwrights, I know it's kind of not really, like, logical, but Usopp is very upset at this point, so you're not going to, obviously, when you're in a shouting match with somebody, you're obviously not going to be the most logical individual. So he's like, yeah, I know they're the best shipwrights in the world, and I know they know what they're talking about, but you just met them, they don't know dick. You know, like, Luffy, come on, this is the Mary, we fought with her, we know her, man. I've fixed her up more times. Remember that time you ripped off the mast and stabbed a giant island whale in the face? We've been through adventures with the Mary! We love the Mary! You know, and it's emotional because that's the moment right there where Oda, like, it was already kind of hinted at many times in the story before this, but this was the point where Oda really makes you feel genuine sorrow for a boat. Alright? And it's not just a boat! She was the going Mary! You know? Oh, or the Mary Go, or however translation, she was the Mary, damn it! Built by a sheep, by a damn lamb man over in the East Blue. Oh, man, you know, that's one thing also, like, other side note, we'll get back to it, but, like, Mary was the one that built the Going Mary. I feel like when the Mary died, there should have been a scene where we cut over to the East Blue where Mary is just, like, sitting on the porch outside of Kaya's mansion. Kaya walks out and like, oh, hey, Mary, how are you doing? I couldn't find you. And Mary's just sitting there in a rocking chair, just looking off into the distance, just, like, crying. Just, oh, hello, Miss Kaya. How are you? Like, oh, I'm fine. Are you okay, Mary? You're crying. Dinner's getting cold. Oh, dinner. Yeah, I guess I'll go get some later. I don't feel particularly hungry right now. Why are you crying, Mary? Are you okay? Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I really don't know why I'm crying. Let's go inside now. You know, like, it cuts to that. Like, he's a kindred spirit with the Mary. Damn. All right. Anyway, okay, so few things about that I want to bring up is a few things I forgot. Did you know there was even a scene where Sanji gets involved in that fight? I always just, the way I remembered it, it was always Zoro and Sanji were always the cool customers. They were always the one off to the side, like, just crossing their arms, just like, this is, I mean, he's the captain. This is, it's up to him. Nami was off to the side. She's really distraught. Like, guys, come on, stop fighting. Chopper's crying in the freaking corner. You know, but in that episode, Sanji actually gets involved. He gets really pissed. Like, look at Sanji's face here. Because Luffy's, like, angry at Usopp, and they're shouting, and Luffy says, fine, if that's the way you like it, then just get off my BAM! And then Sanji just kicks Luffy square in the jaw through the damn dinner table. And Sanji's like, hey, settle down unless you say something you're gonna regret, because this is getting to the point where it's not just an argument. All right, we're pirates. You get into arguments. You know, a bunch of people, it doesn't even have to be pirates. You have a bunch of people living together, you're gonna get into arguments, all right? Whether you have roommates or you're living with your family or whatever, you're gonna get in arguments every now and then. But there are some things that are crossing a line. And in the world with being pirates, you know, with you being the captain and we're your crew, there's certain things there's a line. And you were about to cross the line of, like, you don't like it, leave the crew. That's Those are words you can't go back from. So that's when Sanji gets pissed, kicks Luffy, like, settle down, simmer down, you know, like, calm down, you know. And so Luffy gets up from the table, kind of dusts himself off, puts on his hat, and he's like, yeah, okay, sorry, Sanji, sorry, I got a little bit heated there, I didn't mean that. So Usopp gets up at that point, and he's like, yeah, you know what, Sanji? It's fine. He said that in the heat of the moment. That means that was his real feelings toward me. I'm leaving. So he gets up, he walks out the door, and he's like, you know, I'm a free man, I can go wherever I want, and he just slams the door behind him. And as he's walking away from the Mary, he disembarks the Mary, and he's walking toward Water 7. He turns around, and all the Straw Hats are looking at him from the Mary, and he's like, you know what, Luffy? I'll challenge you to a duel for ownership of the Mary. I win, you give it to me. You win, you can keep it. I guess you could trash it, you can do whatever you want with it, but if I win, I get to keep it. Challenge you to a duel, be here, 10 o'clock tonight, and then Luffy accepts, and he just walks away. And this is the rest of that episode, what I mean, like, emotional, like, different kind of serious for Luffy. There's a scene, once again, that just one thing I just forgot about, where Luffy is sitting in his bed, or his hammock, in his room, and he's just super freaking serious, and he's not laughing or funny at all. He's just sitting there with the hat over him, you know, in his hammock. Nami comes in, and Nami's like, Luffy, come on, this is ridiculous. Can you just talk to him? You can resolve this with words. And Luffy he's just like, Nami, if this could have been solved with words, it would have been solved already. This is gonna happen. That's all I have to say about it. Just leave me alone. I'm going to bed. I'm taking a nap or whatever. Just leave me alone. Like, coming from Luffy, that, it's like, okay, he's being very serious here, and also he's like, he's gonna have to fight his best friend, you know, and it's like I said, all the joy just sucked out of it. Okay, so that's just the setup, and it's important that you know the setup. I know that took me a while to get to here. This needs to be discussed. You can't talk about this fight without talking about all that. So I apologize that took a while, but now we get into the actual analysis of this fight, all right? So, first off, I need to talk about how Usopp is essentially Batman here. It's like prep time, all about prep time. You give Batman enough prep time, he could take out the whole Justice League. You give Batman enough prep time, he could take out Godzilla. Godzilla versus King Kong, how much prep time does Batman get? Alright, so this is what Usopp does. And how much prep time does he really get? That's the first question I really wanted to ask here. So, when Usopp and Luffy are having their argument and Usopp challenges him to a duel, it's sunset. And then he says 10 o'clock tonight. So we don't know exactly when sunset is on Water 7 because there's so many questions like, you know, like the rate that the One Piece planet rotates or how it goes around the sun. Does it have the similar, whatever. I'm going to assume sunset is probably somewhere between, I would say, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. You know, it depends on the season and all that stuff. So we're just going to say, from a maximum perspective, Usopp had maybe 4 hours to work with here. If the sunset was at 6 o'clock, be here at 10. He had 4 hours of prep time. Maybe the earliest he had the most minimum he had 2 hours of prep time, okay? Might have been a little bit more than that, might have been a little bit less than that, but that's where I'm going with right here. So let's just say 4 hours of prep time Usopp had. He walked back into the city, he hit up some shops, he bought some stuff, he made some new explosive stars and everything that he does with his little arsenal. He thought up of a strategy, all of that in a handful of hours. Meanwhile, Luffy's got the Gumu Gumu no Mi. He doesn't have Haki at this point. Gear Second and Gear Third, that's a little bit of a thing because he learned Gear Second from watching CP9 Soru. Luffy did not encounter CP9 yet, so he didn't really learn about the Soru techniques yet. You know, it's implied like that Luffy, the first time he properly even used Gear Second, even like the first time he ever did it, like he never trained with it, he never attempted to do it before. First time he even attempted it was against Blue No, after he witnessed what the Soru technique was. Gear Third also, I'm assuming he figured out around the same time. So we're just going to assume Luffy, yeah, he doesn't have Gear Second or Gear Third when he's fighting Usopp. So Luffy really only has his Gumu Gumu no Mi and his fighting experience and all that stuff. He fought against Eneru, Arlong, and, you know, Crocodile at this point, Don Krieg, all the major villains Luffy's fought up until this point, right? So he's got his Gumu Gumu no Mi. Luffy, you know, he's really pissed off, but he's also very sad. He's probably maybe he's like thinking about it, like, I'm the captain, you know, was that the right thing for me to do? But Luffy's not the kind of guy that's gonna go around to the crew and be like, Nami, do you think what I did was right? Zoro, do you think what I did was right? Sanji, do you think I did was right? You know, he's not gonna do that. He's like, I'm the captain. This is the decision I make. I can't go around and like ask other people to make the decision for me. This was my decision. So Luffy's very distraught with this. Meanwhile, Usopp is pissed too, but he's in battle mode. He's like, I am gonna beat Luffy. And everyone's gonna think I'm not gonna be able to do it. Everyone's thinking, oh, he's got a devil fruit. He took out Crocodile. He took out one of the 7 warlords. Usopp, you're not gonna win. That's my advantage, because Luffy's not going to probably think about this too much. And Luffy doesn't already really think about his battles too much anyway. He just kind of dives right in. Every now and then Luffy, like the water Luffy at Alabaster, you know, but a lot of times Luffy just dives into fight. You know, like look what happened with Kaido, right? So Usopp gets a few hours to stock up on his arsenal, but he's also thinking about the ways I can hurt Luffy. And he's probably just thinking there and just like, okay, I know what Luffy does, I know how he fights, I know how he thinks. I've seen him fight many times. All right, how am I going to do this? Well, the first thing Usopp probably thought of is, I can't get hit, because Luffy's super strong, and I'm wicked injured. Keep in mind, that's another thing. Usopp kind of had a big freaking handicap here at this moment. Got the crap beat out of him by the Frankie family, all bandaged up. Yeah, Usopp went into this fight with a little bit of a handicap. You gotta give him that much, okay? And if Usopp maybe was, because we saw him, you know, he's tanked some serious hits before. If Usopp was fully healed, he was like in tip-top shape, because Luffy was in tip-top shape. Luffy didn't really have any damage, so going into this fight, if Usopp was fully healed, not saying Usopp would have won 100%, like it would have been guaranteed, but he would have been able to tank, I think, a little bit more hits. But Usopp was even accounting for that. He was like, okay, I know I'm injured. If I take one, maybe even just one hit from Luffy, I could go down. So, don't let him hit me. That's the thing. Do not let him hit me. And I will use every single thing in my repertoire to make sure that Luffy is on the receiving end. He's on the defensive the entire time of this fight. Okay, do not even let him get a single hit in. So he gathers up all his dials, he gets everything ready to go, and he's like, all right, what else can I do? Okay, he's a rubber man. Blunt attacks mean nothing. They mean shit. So don't even try to hit him with any blunt attacks. Usopp Hammer is not going to work here, alright? Don't even bother with it, alright? Bladed, edged, piercing attacks. That's what we need to do. Piercing attacks. Caltrop Hell. Shuriken Shooting Stars. Explosive attacks. Flame Stars. Any attack that is not blunt that can actually hurt a rubber man. That's what Usopp goes into with this fight, alright? I just got a crap ton of dials from Skypiea that, you know, Luffy probably, I mean, he knows what a little bit of them do, but I'm like tactical. Usopp is really gadgety. He's like, you know, I'm not just gonna use the breath dial to like, shoot some air in his face. I'm gonna store freaking gas into this and then light it on fire. You know, like, that's the kind of Batman tactical crap Usopp does. Probably out of all of the fights in One Piece, this probably is the most involved in tactical, I would say. I've said tactical a lot. It's a fun word to say. Tactical. Just say it. Tactical. It's a fun word, right? Okay, so Usopp does some preparation, and before even 10 o'clock rolls around, you know Usopp was kind of stealthily jumping around the battlefield planning this all out. He definitely did. He's like laying caltrops all over the place, sets down a freaking breath dial here, presses the button. He's like, okay, I've stored like a bunch of freaking gas inside of this breath dial. It's gonna take a while to really cover the whole battlefield, so I'm just gonna set this here. It's like 9:55, okay, hiding behind a rock. He's like, okay, 9:58, 9:59. Come on, get pumped up, Usopp. Come on, you can do this! You can do this! Yeah! And it's like, all right. And then he jumps out at 10 o'clock on the dot. Luffy walks up. He's just like, hey, you came. And he's like, yes, I did. Fight's on, okay? I counted. Usopp lands 11 attacks on Luffy here. Luffy lands 2. Now, granted, not all of these are equal. Luffy's attacks pack a little bit more of a punch than Usopp's egg stars, okay? And I also didn't include all the times that Luffy fell on the caltrops. I only counted that once. Luffy falls and stumbles on the caltrops a few times, he gets pierced. Maybe I should have counted that as all individual ones. I've, you know, just basically went frame by frame in this battle here. And also some of these attacks that Usopp uses, like the flash dial, aren't like a direct hit, but they're kind of like, I counted the flash dial move as a hit, okay? So anyway, and Luffy gets 2. He gets a Gumu Gumu no pistol, punches Usopp in the face, and then he gets a bullet, which ended the fight, alright? Now you could say, and you could look at that out was like, well, Luffy's a lot stronger, so obviously less attacks are all that he needs. But the fact that Usopp landed this many hits and he lasted as long as he did, really, really important. Also, there was a volley of exploding stars that Usopp was firing off. These attacks, none of them hit Luffy directly. They just caused him to jump around the battlefield a lot, so I didn't count those as hits either. I'll leave that to your own discretion if you would like to include that as a hit. Okay, so Usopp walks up, and it's like the first thing Usopp knows is like, I need to get Luffy. He's gonna just try to like rubber me, like just punch me from a distance. I need to close the gap between him, and then I need to work it out so I can blind him with the flash dial, and I can just start unloading, okay? So the first thing Usopp does is like, I'm gonna play this off as a joke. I'm gonna use my, I have an army of 8,000 men! I got my Usopp spell! There's razor sharp needles in between your teeth! And the entire time this is going on, Chopper's on the ship, and he's like, oh god, really? He's really got 8,000? So it's a little bit of humor in the fight, but not as much as other scenes in One Piece. So Luffy just thinks that Usopp is playing around. He's not taking this seriously, and so he runs in to kind of get like, you know what? I'm just gonna run up and punch him and just put an end to this as quickly and painlessly as possible, as it has to be. So he runs up to Usopp. That's when Usopp blurts out a bunch of blood, and Luffy stops. Usopp knows. He's like, okay. He's gonna hesitate, because in Luffy's mind, he's gonna be like, I'm way stronger than Usopp, I'm not gonna decimate him, like, I'm not gonna bust out Gumu Gumu no Storm like I did against Crocodile, alright? He's my friend still. So Usopp knows that he's going to take advantage of that, because he's like, I need to take every inch I can get here. If I let up for a little bit, if I don't use everything I can use against him, I'm going to lose quick. So he's like, all right, Luffy's going to come up to me, try to finish me off in one punch. I'm going to like spit up a bunch of blood. Luffy's going to hesitate. He's like, special attack, ketchup star. Luffy's like, oh, you son of a... He's like, oh yeah, you think it's okay to take mercy on your opponent? Flash dial, click, boom! Blind Luffy, back up, immediately. 3 rotten egg stars right on Luffy, covering him in rotten egg. That's number one, going to, it's going to distract him for a bit. It's going to be like, you ever smelled rotten egg? Have you ever actually had rotten egg, like, around or, like, broken around you? It's disgusting, alright? So Luffy gets 3 of those splattered on him right now. Once again, Luffy is still thinking Usopp is not taking this seriously. And this probably has the single best line in the entire fight, where Usopp looks straight at Luffy when he's still arming himself, getting ready to go for his next volley, and he's like, this is how I fight, Luffy! And then he fires off, what's next? Next up is the Tabasco star. So, Luffy's covered in rotten egg. He's like, it's in his eyes, it's in his nose, like, oh god. And then he freaking takes out a Tabasco star, which he used against Mr. 5, launches it right in Luffy's freaking mouth, boom! Super spice, and then he falls down on the caltrops that Usopp laid earlier. Luffy is perfectly vulnerable. He doesn't have armament hockey or anything at this point. Perfectly vulnerable to piercing attacks. Lands on the caltrops. He's jumping around all over the place. He's still in his eyes. Then Usopp launches the pepper star at him, which is just a cloud of pepper. Have you ever had pepper? See, that's the thing. Like, I feel like if this was any other human, this would be, like, down and out, like, immediately, like, right? Like, have you ever had rotten egg on your face? Have you ever had pepper? Have you ever had, like, pepper thrown at you? I've never had pepper thrown at me, but there's been a few times when I've been cooking, and, pepper will get into my nose, or maybe I'll have pepper on my finger, and I won't think what I'm doing, and I'll, like, wipe my nose, or, like, my eyes, or something. Like, oh, crap! Like, stuff like that Usopp's doing. So he's basically just launching, like, boom, like pepper spray, basically, in Luffy's face. And so he can't see, he can't smell, he's coughing, he can barely breathe. He's keep falling on the caltrops. He's like, oh, it stings, oh, it hurts, oh god, it's like, can't see anything. That's the one thing I have to say that I kind of have a problem with this fight. And it's like, Luffy recovers from this stuff way faster than I feel like he should. Like, listen, Luffy's a tough guy. No problem. Okay. The next thing that Usopp does, we'll get to it. We'll go chronologically into the fight before we get to it, okay? So, coming up next, Usopp uses the Shuriken Shooting Star, which is a new technique that I think the only time he's ever used is during this fight, where Usopp has, like, he goes from rotten eggs to pepper balls to a giant chain of razor-sharp shurikens, firing them all off, scattering them throughout the battlefield. I froze the frame and counted how many damn shurikens are right here. they get really tiny, but it's somewhere between 45 and 50 shurikens. I think it's 50. I think it's 50 shurikens, and he has, like, that messenger bag is, like, super swollen in this fight. It's like, I got, like, 5 of these. I have, like, 250 shuriken. I don't know. I guess Water 7 has a ninja store. I don't know. He walks into there's this poor guy living in Water 7, and he's, like, sells ninja tools and shit. He's like, nobody wants to come in and buy my ninja tools. I guess I'll just close up shop for the day. And then Usopp, I'll take every shuriken you have, and be like, okay, sure, here you go. It also is reminiscent of, like, how ninjas would fight. We've talked about this before on the channel whenever I was talking about, like, Raizo and stuff, but ninja were having these, they would have these things called black eggs, where you take an egg and you suck out all the yolk, you coat the egg with, like, a resin, and then you blow in, like, crushed glass into the egg, so when you throw it at the opponent, you get crushed glass in their eyes, and then they get blinded when they go to rub it. If, like, Usopp could have been very vindictive and done something like that to Luffy, right? So unfortunately, though, the Shuriken Shooting Star, while awesome, is the one thing in this fight. It's the first thing in the fight that Usopp, it doesn't really work on Luffy, other than, like, the Usopp spell. But even the Usopp spell was kind of working to Usopp's advantage. So the Shuriken Shooting Stars, like, none of these hit Luffy. At least in the anime, they don't depict them, like, not a single one of them hit Luffy. And the animation, you know, it's a little bit inconsistent, because when you look at this one scene, there's, like, 50 of these things all firing at Luffy, and then between the shots, there's only, like, maybe like a dozen or so that Luffy has to dodge. And there's some scenes where Luffy's jumping out of the way of these things. It's like, okay, a few of those would have definitely hit him, alright? There's a few things there. I'm like, I'm not saying, like, all of them would have, but Usopp's literally doing, like, a spray and pray kind of a tactic here, where he's like, alright, I got, like, this huge chain of shuriken. I got, like, 5 or 6 of the damn things. I got, like, 300 damn shuriken. I'm firing those off. At least a few have to hit Luffy. And, like, the way the anime depicts it is, like, none of them hit Luffy. Hey, maybe this fight was, like, one of the precursors for Luffy to learn freaking observation hockey. Maybe Luffy, like, finally understood observation a little bit, jumping around the battlefield, dodging all of Usopp's attacks. Sure, go for it, fine. But that was the first thing that really didn't work on Luffy too much. But it didn't really need to, because at this point, Luffy's jumping around, he lands, and then he starts to notice that the battlefield is getting kind of foggy and misty, and it's kind of harder to see Usopp, plus through all the rotten eggs and everything. And that's when Usopp, you know, drops the bomb. Like literally. He's like, you didn't smell it because of the eggs. I didn't blast you with the eggs and the pepper ball to, like, just, like, hurt you. I mean, that was one of the reasons, but that was to, like, you know, stop you so you couldn't smell anything from the gas that was literally just pooling up in the area right now. And he set up a breath dial off to the side that's just spewing this. And that's when he's like, you know, yeah, Flame Star, and he fires the Flame Star, and the animation as the Flame Star is, like, approaching Luffy, it just kind of sparks a bit, like, giant explosion! Huge explosion! It blasts the Mary back! I mean, look, this isn't game theory or anybody, or, like, death battle. I mean, somebody that knows better stuff about this, you can go and try to calculate, like, how many megatons of force this was, like, how many sticks of dynamite blew right there, like, right where Luffy was. You can go and calculate that out, because I don't even know where to begin. But this explosion is huge, right? And, it freaking, you'd think more people from Water 7 would come down. It's like, what's going on down here, right? But anyway, Luffy doesn't really, I mean, he gets hurt. I mean, he gets hurt from the explosion, but you don't really get the impression that he's seriously hurt. Luffy just kind of stands back up like the Terminator at this, and he's all charred, and he just kind of walks toward Usopp, and the fight resumes. And Usopp is smart. He knows that, like, that's not going to be enough to take out Luffy. But here's the thing that I'm talking about. This is the thing I'm referencing from earlier. I am way more... I believe that Luffy could walk away from this giant gas explosion way more than Luffy could recover from, like, the pepper ball and stuff. Right? Like, because Luffy is a tank. Luffy's really durable. He's a really strong guy. He fought against Arlong, Crocodile, Eneru, all the crazy stuff that they did to him. I can understand Luffy taking a huge explosion, point blank, and walking out of that. Alright? But things like you can't really train for. Like, you know, if you get, like, like freaking, pepper sprayed and shit. Like, Luffy shouldn't have been able to just like, oh, I can't see anything. Okay, all right, I'm good. Like, or, oh, it stinks, it reeks. Oh, I can't smell, I can't breathe it. Oh, it's in my throat. All right, I'm good now. So, okay. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I feel like it's a little bit skewed in Luffy's favor there. Just a little bit. Like, okay, Luffy recovers. Oh, I can't see. All right, I just wiped the rotten egg and the pepper out of my eyes. I'm good. Oh, okay, I can barely breathe, but I'm all right. I can still fight. Okay. So, the next thing after that is Usopp's starting to kind of run out of tricks. I bet Usopp was kind of expecting, like, Usopp was like, I figured that probably wouldn't take him out, so I have some other stuff planned after the explosion, but I was kind of hoping that would have taken him out. That would have at least caused him to, like, concede the fight, or he'd knocked him out or something. So Luffy starts up Gatling. He tries to use Gatling next. Usopp has a hard counter for that, his Cactus Star. So it's like a little, once again, on a technique I don't think Usopp has used since this fight. This is the most serious Usopp has ever been. He takes out the Cactus Star, little green pellet, fires it at Luffy. It hits one of his hands when he's doing Gatling, and it just, boom, explodes in a giant just flurry of like little spikes that just, pierce. Those pierce all over Luffy's body. I would have like a lot of the things with Usopp, like the only shortcomings I can see with Usopp with this list is like, man, Usopp, bring more of those, use the pepper ball more, use the freaking cactus stars more. Maybe he only had enough time to like make one cactus star, or make one pepper ball or something, but it's just like, you think you can make more. Try the Tabasco star again, it seemed to work pretty well the first time. These are techniques Luffy cannot counter, so keep using those. But okay, fine, it's like one and done. It's like, okay, I have one cactus star and that's it. I don't have anything. I have one pepper star, I don't have any more of those. Tabasco, I only have one Tabasco. It's like, you should have used more of these. But he hard countered the freaking Gatling right there. Then he starts the volley of exploding stars, and once again, these don't hit Luffy. Luffy just kind of jumps around, dodges them. The explosions happen and kind of knock him away. Luffy's just kind of tumbling around the shore, and that's when he tries to break out. That's when he uses pistol. That's when Luffy uses pistol. That's the first hit he finally gets out on Usopp. And Usopp, once again, he's really not moving too much from the battlefield. Like, he moved back a little bit when the explosion happened, but he's kind of like avoiding the main battle. And so this is the first attack Luffy gets on him, and I think even Usopp, he gets hit, but he's like, I can even take this to my advantage. Like, I can take one hit from him, and then he can get close, and then I can bust something else out. So Usopp gets hit, and then he Luffy tries to use Bazooka against him to try to end the fight, and then that's when Usopp busts out the Impact Dial. Why didn't Usopp use the Impact Dial against the pistol? Because I think he knew, like, okay, pistol is one of Luffy's strong techniques, but I know there's stronger ones. I'm not going to use Impact until he gets really confident he's going to get in close. He punches me, knocks me down, he's going to try to end the fight. If I could get back up, he's going to do something like a coup de grace, like a finishing move, like his Bazooka, and that rifle or something. That's when I bust out the Impact Dial. So Luffy goes to use Bazooka. I do not count as this a hit for Luffy, because he doesn't actually injure Usopp with this. Usopp uses the Impact Dial, boom, stops the force immediately, charges it in the impact, and he's just like, I bet that Bazooka probably really would have hurt. Let's find out. Impact Dial! Bam! And Luffy just gets smacked point blank with that. He's bleeding. Usopp, of course, feels the hit. He gets the recoil damage from that. I didn't count that as a hit on Luffy, because it's like recoil. So Usopp gets knocked back there. And unfortunately, that was the last real hit that he got out. I think just taking the pistol to the face plus the impact, Usopp really can't move much after this. Luffy sees that he can't really move much after this. He just extends back his hand. And keep in mind, remember, the entire time the fight's going on, little scenes throughout their entire journey together, throughout other arcs of One Piece, when they met, Drum Island, Little Garden, Whiskey Peak, Alabasta, little scenes where Luffy and Usopp are just hanging out on the Merry, having a fun time, are just sprinkled throughout the entire episode. Meanwhile, freaking Nami and Chopper are bawling their eyes out on the Merry. Zoro and Sanji are just watching, and then finally, Luffy's like, okay, he's done. He's seriously injured. He can't get back up. And Usopp's like, I will not give up! And then Usopp he can't really move. And so Luffy just finishes off. He just extends his arm all the way back with Bullet, and then just Gamu Gamu no Bulleto. BAM! And then just smacks Usopp right in the stomach hard. And that drops him, and that's how the fight ends. He just drops right there, and he can no longer move. Luffy gives him the Mary anyway. He's like, tell you what, we'll pack up all our things. You can have the Mary. So regardless of the outcome of the fight, Usopp, it's like, regardless of how the fight ended, it probably would have been the same outcome. You know what I mean? So Usopp, he's lying there. Luffy walks back to the Mary. There's another really strong moment with Luffy and Zoro, where Luffy, he's there, he's crying, and he's like, it's so heavy. And like the burden that he has to bear, and Zoro is just like, you're the captain. If we can't rely on you, then the whole crew falls apart. So this is really the moment where it's like, also keep in mind that all the moments that Usopp and Luffy had during Long Ring Long Land with like Afro Luffy, and like Usopp was like his manager and stuff. Remember that moment? So that's like a really big comedy moment, like Usopp and, yeah, you're gonna have to Afro, kid, and then we cut to this like an arc later, like damn. But that was the moment where it's like, you know, we have a lot of fun and games on the Straw Hat crew. We're a family. We love each other. We care about each other. We goof around with each other. But we're still a pirate crew. We're not a normal family. We're a pirate crew. We have a structure. You are our captain, Luffy. You have to make these decisions. If you thought this was all going to be fun and games, then you should have never set out to sea. There's things you might have to do that you're not going to like, but you have to do them because it's your responsibility. You know, and if you start second guessing yourself, like if Luffy would have just walked out and said to Usopp, like, okay, Usopp, I'm sorry, we'll keep the Mary, we'll do what you will do what you want. Well, I think the Mary can make it to the next island. Screw the shipwrights, we'll do it. Zoro probably would have left at that point. Just like how at the end of Enies Lobby, when they were going to let Usopp back and Zoro and Luffy have that. That's another moment. That was on like the sunset and everything. And, arguments are always more emotional during the sunset, okay? But, you know, Luffy knew what he had to do, and he's upset, but he's like, I'm the captain of the Straw Hat crew. And one of my crewmates challenged me to a duel and fought me. I can't just, sorry, Usopp, you can come back. We'll do whatever you say, because that shows weakness, and you can't do that. And so Chopper leaves some medical supplies for Usopp so he can patch himself up, but even Chopper can't really help him. Sanji and Zoro kind of hold him back. Like, not even just because of, like, the code of the pirates, but also just, like, you're going to be babying him, and he's going to not, like, just imagine how he's going to feel, like, when you go out there to nurse his wounds after he just fought his captain. Just, he asked for this. He knew that this could happen. And even Luffy said, like, Luffy's like, at the end of the fight, when Usopp's on the ground, like, you knew I was going to win. You knew how this was going to go, and yet you did it anyway. But Usopp did. I mean, I think Usopp had an idea. Like, I think I could do this. I think I might be able to win. But, you know, of course, Usopp thought of the possibility, like, I'm going to get the shit beat out of me, too. But either way, this is worth it because it's for the Mary. So that's the end of the fight. What did you think? What did you guys think about the fight? Did you think that if Usopp was fully healed, maybe it would have went differently? Do you think maybe there was a little bit too much, maybe like a little coating of plot armor for Luffy, just being able to recover from some attacks that like should have worked more than they should have, or than they actually did, I mean, or... I mean, you could chalk up the dodging the shurikens and the explosions and stuff. You could chalk that up to maybe Luffy beginning to, like, sense, like, observation hockey. Because, yes, this wasn't a skill that Luffy had at this point, but it was definitely something he awakened later. So, maybe, like, during the moment at Marineford when he was about to bazooka Mihawk and he sensed that his arms were going to be cut off. He's like, oh, yeah, let's not do that. So, I might be able to forgive that, even though it was kind of like a spray and pray thing from Usopp. You think Luffy would have been hit by a few of those damn shurikens. Luffy tanking the explosion, maybe he could have suffered a little bit more injuries than that. Because at the end of the fight, Luffy doesn't really look more worse for wear. I mean, he's all scuffed up and charred and stuff, but he doesn't look like he's really all that injured compared to other fights he's been in, right? And I feel like things with like the pepper balls and the egg and the caltrops, like he should have been losing a lot more blood. You know, like he dropped on those caltrops, you know, he's been sliced a few times with the cactus. Like he should have been bleeding a lot more throughout his body. He should have had a lot more injuries. It's a shonen, I understand. You can't, oh yeah, Usopp versus Luffy, but drawn in a seinen style. Oh, there'd be a lot more blood. And also I would like you to talk about like other things that maybe Usopp could have done, because this, I know I make a lot of D&D references. I'm a D&D nerd, but this really does seem like, from Usopp's perspective, like, okay, you're gonna go up against this monster, and you just take out the monster manual and like, okay, I know everything about this monster. What's the best way for us to fight this damn thing, right? And it's like, all right, well, we're gonna do this, or the cleric's gonna do this, the wizard's gonna do this. That's kind of like what Usopp was doing here. So if you were in Usopp's shoes, how would you do this differently to try to actually defeat Luffy? One other thing I thought, instead of just, I said it earlier, like using more than one of the cactus stars, because the pepper stars, the Tabasco stars, those things seem to work, so keep using more of those. But other things I was thinking about was like, Usopp accrued a lot of dials from Skypiea, a lot of dials. Now, we don't know the full loadout of every single dial that Usopp got. Like, he got 4 breath dials, 5 flash dials, 2 impact dials. We don't know the full loadout. I guess it's implied Usopp only got 1 impact dial. But I don't know, like, he might have gotten more. Like, if he had more than 1 impact dial, hide the impact dials, like, in your clothes or something, right? So, like, hide 1 in your stomach and your chest, and if Luffy tries to end the fight just by punching you in the stomach, boom! It absorbs the impact. And the thing about the impact dials that's great, that's so advantageous, the one thing that Usopp did, I understand why he did it, because it could hurt Luffy, but the brilliance with the impact dial, the advantage, is that it absorbs the attack. You don't have to fire it back. Like, it's basically like you take a hit and it just absorbs the hit. So Usopp could have easily absorbed the power of the bazooka. He didn't have to fire it back. He could have just absorbed the fire of the bazooka, take out another flash dial and be like, ha, it didn't work. Flash dial again. Ah, damn it, and like, he doesn't have to. He just take the impact dial, put it in his bag, and like maybe use it for later or something, right? Now, like I said, he might have only had 1 impact dial to work with, because the Straw Hats don't seem to like they seem to only have the 1, right? But there was other dials. Like, Usopp had an entire bag of dials at the end of freaking Skypiea. He had flame dials and stuff. I'm sure he could have utilized those better. But yeah, we really don't know the full loadout of what he had to work with. But apparently Water 7 has stores for like ninja tools and like all the other like I don't know if Usopp just had all those caltrops on him. Maybe he went and bought a bunch of caltrops. Where'd he get the poison, the flammable gas at? Did he just walk around the shipyard of Water 7 and just like, hey, this is gonna be a weird question to ask, but do you have some kind of flammable gas that I could suck into this magic seashell? All right. And he put all of this together. The fact that Usopp threw all of this together in a span of hours. Good job, right? All right. So anyway, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Yeah, let me know what you think below, all the ways that Usopp could have done this differently. And I guess the ways that Luffy could have done it differently as well. But Luffy's a little different, because Luffy does not really think into a battle as much. He's more of like just go into fighting and just like learn as he goes. He's not really like I'm gonna plan out this fight in like different phases. That's how Usopp fights, definitely. But it was an amazing battle. Very emotional, but that's what I love about One Piece. Oda brings the feels. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tekking and Barry, signing out. But yeah, what do you guys think about how the fight went and how it places in the One Piece story? This is a long video. Probably the longest on the list that I'm going to make. But I really wanted to just go in and break down this whole fight for you guys and talk about probably, if it's up there as one of the most emotional. I mean, the death of the Mary is really emotional as well, but this is definitely up there as a very emotional scene. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, everybody. Have a great day. Tekking signing out.